All right. Welcome to the third game of the evening, Satellite Odyssey Prologue. Satellite Odyssey Prologue is a short, first-person, story-driven adventure with horror elements. Immerse yourself in the atmosphere of a classic science fiction and retrofuturism inspired by Soviet sci-fi film. Your partner is Zarya, the artificial intelligence. Um, you are Laska, a Soviet robo-psychologist and member of the scientific space expedition Icarus. Awakened from an extended anabiosis, um, she goes on a routine shift with the station's artificial intelligence, but the mission quickly takes an unexpected turn. Laska has to figure out what happened on the station and make an extremely difficult choice. Like, right. So before we get into the meat of this review, you will note that this is called Prologue. And yes, this is a proper prologue in terms of offering up like the first bit of a game
Sort of.
before
The main game they're doing
yeah,
seems pretty unrelated. I mean, it's in the same universe, but
at least that's what the intention usually is with prologues.
mhm.
But yeah, this is an unusual one because usually when we get prologue titles, they're free, and also by the time we get to reviewing prologue titles, or at least the time they've been out for a long time, and or like the actual game's out, and they're kind of pointless to cover. Not this case because the game is still in the main Satellite Odyssey game is still in development, slated for 2027, which is, quite a whiles away from this point in time, mid 2026. And also, this is a paid prologue. These are usually free.
It seems like
So
it might be like partially
it met enough
fundraising.
criteria. That's my guess as well. Um, Without going to Kickstarter,
Right.
because this might not just be inspired by Russian sci-fi films like Solaris, but it may also be Russian in origin. I don't know
It
where the
seems to be
developer comes
Russian or
from.
some other country that uses the Cyrillic alphabet primarily.
I can look into that. But yeah, so this game was assigned to the Golux for review. So over to him for the details.
So yeah, as the name might suggest to you, in Soviet 2001, A Space Odyssey is you. Um, the setup is, yeah, it's you wake out of cryo sleep on a space station. You have a robot or a computer whose interface is a big blinking eye that you quickly find signs might not be operating normally, and you have to figure it out. It's pretty much
Uh,
only narrative and point and click stuff. The most elaborate there really is that there are coins that you can try to collect all of. There's a secret room that you need to do a bunch of stuff that's fairly unintuitive to get into. And there's like one meaningful choice at the end that just gives you a choice of ending. Um, and you don't really need a whole ton of um, prerequisites or anything to make the choice. Everything else is just the game goes until you get there. It is first person. It says it works fine with a Steam controller or with an Xbox controller on Steam. Probably works fine with a Steam controller too. Though some of the point and clicking might be a little bit easier with the mouse, especially when it comes to things like picking up coins. There are also a few points where you need to go into like a forensic mode to get clues about what happened in a place, but frankly, they're very easy. Like, you probably wouldn't even need you go into focus and the, like, two important things in the scene are outlined mode. You can also pick up, rotate, and, like, throw objects, and that's only relevant a few times. But yeah, you're on a space station. You are there because you were involved in developing and maintaining the computer, and it's behaving badly. I had some weird trouble with it's fine for Petty on the ultra wide, it looks like, but to your remind you what to do thing was frequently not all the way on screen, and the lighting was sometimes not great for it. You do also get a flashlight, because for horror reasons, parts of the game are dark. Although it's never super dark, and probably also for horror reasons, it's one of those flashlights where you have to, like, squeeze it to power it. So you have to keep pumping it occasionally if you want to use it. I didn't actually have to use it that much, but it's helpful in some areas if you're looking for coins or, like, possibly bonus audio logs. I'm trying not to spoil the story too much, even though it's kind of predictable, frankly. But yeah, as this is a first person and horror, there's not a whole ton of horror here. There's dead bodies at various points, and, like, one or two mild jump scares. That's about it. Although it is obviously kind of a spooky story for, again, fairly predictable reasons, I think. Yeah, there's not a whole ton else. There were times where I wished I could use the detective mode just to see all of the possible interactions that you could have with objects that aren't right in front of your face. Because sometimes you really kind of have to rub your face against something to make the interact button pop up. So yeah, it's an interesting story, but again, like I said, it's a little bit predictable. The acting is interesting. They're certainly putting on some kind of a Russian-ish accent. The guy you talk to on the radio is the one that I am the most questionable about. The robot's voice gets some interesting digital overlays, and when you find audio logs, I guess possibly because it's Soviet tech, they are in the form of analog audio tapes that start slow and end slow, like as if it's being slowed down. But then for most of it, it's approximately normal, which adds to the spookiness, I guess. And yeah, I believe from what I've seen of the later thing, the later game they're working on, it takes place at, like, a similar space station, or a space station that is either this one or is much later, something like based on this one. And I think it's on Jupiter. I think you're around Saturn on this
Saturn.
one.
They mentioned Saturn in the.
Yeah, but you are, like, working on coming back, but apparently, I don't know. So yeah, if you have a passing familiarity with the Cyrillic alphabet, you will probably get a decent amount of Easter eggs that you won't otherwise.
Oh,
Because
update on the developer. They're update on the developer. They're actually located in Dubai, which actually does
okay,
explain the Russian connection.
yeah. But yeah, you can like all of the pictures of Soviet space history stuff on the walls are written in Cyrillic because like all of the in-game text is in Russian. But like they got, what is it? Laika, Belka and Strelka, Yuri Gagarin, and I forget the woman's name, but I think she was the first female cosmonaut or something on the main concourse level here. So yeah, this game is quite short. I suck at it. I am in first person. I am really bad at picking up environmental direction hints, and I still finished it in only a bit more than an hour. I saw when I was looking up stuff about it. Apparently, there is a like a secret that you can now get if you speedrun the beginning of the game and do some very specific things. But I don't know what that is because I did not have time to replay it. I think overall I would probably give this game a bit of a generally a recommendation. As long as you're not expecting like really intense horror or realistic accent or like yeah, Misha's accent is just I'm not sure what that is. It sounds weird. I don't know if the actor doesn't actually speak English as a primary language or what. I didn't see any voice options. But yeah, do you guys have any questions or anything?
No, I think I'm good.
Not really.
Okay. What is the price that they're doing for this?
I'm like, very, very, very affordable. It is clocking in regular price $2. It is on sale at this moment for $1.39.
Yeah, that's probably fine. Like it has a little bit of jank sometimes, but like at that price, it's probably fine. If the premise
Once
sounds at
again,
all
we're in the
interesting
cup
to
of
you,
coffees.
right? If the premise sounds at all
We're in the cup.
interesting to you, it's probably worth checking out.
Mm.
The other thing you're missing, Petty Fan, is the door itself.
All right.
And you have to be like quite close to things in detective mode to actually. You have to go into detective mode, cursor over the thing that's glowing red, get close enough to it, and then look at it for long enough for a little bar to fill up.
Yeah.
You have to do this like 5 times throughout the game, and they are all like compulsory, and there are no optional ones. But yeah, that's so you can't get that. Once you get through the door at the other end, there's a plank you can put down over that to make it so you can go through normally. But yeah, that's like Petty Fane is already maybe like a quarter to a third of the way through the game, frankly. So that's about how long, especially if you're like know where you're going and stuff. So yeah, that's probably about what I got.
All right then. So that'll about do it for Satellite Odyssey Prologue. Be sure to tune in after the break as we review Mina the Hollower.